This is Abnormal Entertainment.
Only come out
coming. 5-year-old me thought I was going to be an astronaut. 5-year-old me had aspirations.
A mastronaut?
Yeah, I thought I wanted to be an astronaut.
You didn't say mastronaut.
I was going to say, wait a second, what is that across the
astronaut. I would be flying around in space.
He wants to be the astronaut that tests out, self-love in space.
That's right.
That's
yeah.
right.
Somebody has to test.
Somebody needs to know.
That hasn't happened yet?
I'm sure it has happened. They put a couple of those dudes up there for 6 months.
There's got to be some kind of protocol for
inklings of it. I've actually read about this. There's been inklings of it happening and such. However, it has not been a documented experience in space as of yet.
Hey, get out of here. You are invited.
Welcome to GloryHoundd and the Uninvited Gamers. I'm your host, GloryHoundd, and tonight's Uninvited Gamers are...
Richard.
Adam.
Brendan.
Dr. GloryHoundd.
And tonight we're down here at Games U. Have you guys been to Games U before?
I go to Games U all the time.
All the time?
Yeah, this is my neck of the woods.
I love Games U.
Is it? This is a nice place.
I feel like you're lying a little bit.
No, it's this. I live near here.
Like right there?
This dude bought his house when this was like fields that smelled like poop.
Yeah.
And now
it's all built out.
Now it's there's an awesome game store
here. Now it
here.
only smells terrible when that Mother Nature's farm place is growing pumpkins. So.
It does smell bad.
Yeah, it smells terrible.
Yeah, I've lived in this area since I was in 4th grade, so
nice.
Yeah. I used to go hit up Mother Nature, but after hours at night, mostly stealing.
Does it get a little wild?
Mostly stealing.
All right. No. I wasn't sure if they had
gaming and stealing.
I wasn't sure if I was being clear enough. Mostly there to steal.
Oh, all right. I wasn't sure if they had some Mother Goose Club or something that was the rave.
No.
Right, I'm sure.
Cornfield.
They don't like you being around the animals or the pumpkins late at night, just in general.
Dirty.
Yeah.
Damn.
I wonder why.
This is a whole thing I have not heard of. Hold on.
Hello, animals. Okay, we're already getting weird. I thought maybe it was a LARP going on there, and it was the gangrels were down there. And they were
oh, yeah.
This is our farm.
That's totally what it was.
What I was imagining.
I'm sure. Yeah, no.
Given the current context, that's what I was imagining.
Well, good. I'm glad you went there.
I would like to talk a little bit about you guys because, our audience hasn't heard from you guys before, and we do highlight RPGs and the culture and stuff in Arizona with that, but we don't do it as in-depth as you guys do. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your own podcast that you guys have, Full Metal RPG?
Yeah, Adam and I, we have a podcast called Full Metal RPG. We're Phoenix native local guys, and so we do a lot of talk about role playing. We've been role playing together for way longer than either one of us is probably comfortable admitting.
Really long time.
Really, a really long time.
Because it's almost cool now. So you're saying back when it was super.
That's right. Yeah, it is cool now. So you're
like 90s. I want to say
uber cool.
Yeah.
Back to playing Magic in the band room type of stuff.
Yeah,
it was right around Vampire the Masquerade 2nd edition, I think.
Yeah,
when that was coming out.
We've been doing this for a while. So at some point we decided, hey, wouldn't it be great if we did a role-playing podcast? And then our fates were sealed. And now we do role-playing opinion and kind of critique a lot. We've dabbled with a lot of different formats, but at this point we're just a couple of guys who talk with their friends about role-playing games, and I think that lends some merit. There's something to be taken from every episode.
We had this idea that we were going to go out when we first started and tell everybody how it was done because we knew so much.
We're such smart guys.
And then we quickly found out that we really don't know anything.
No.
And,
I remember listening to that on your guys' podcast where you were talking about your experience of going through it and going, wow, we just we ran into it and all of a sudden we were like, wow, we don't know anything about any of this. We need to know more.
I'm still pretty sure of myself here.
Are you?
I think we nailed the secret code. We got this down.
If you're not listening to Full Metal RPG, you don't understand
the transformation RPGs are going through right now, because these two guys are going through that.
They're both
that right
transitioning?
now. They're both transitioning and questioning at the same time.
Wow.
T and the Q at the same time.
Man.
You're growing with the game.
But you guys are
expanding yourselves.
looking at all the dimensions. You know, there's a dark flavor because you
Huge
started
tracts of
in the
land.
Gothic
Huge tracts of
scene,
land.
but like it is one of my favorite things to listen to.
Oh, thanks,
Instant
man. I do.
download right away.
I
That's the
appreciate
reason I
that.
recommend
What about
you for
ours?
other things. So.
He's like, not ours.
Yeah, I guess we kind of started off with sort of. I mean, it ends up being a horror bent. We end up having this all kind of horror bent because that's kind of the thing that we do the most, and we kind of look at everything through that lens. Which is not to say that it's a horror gaming podcast, just that eventually it will boil down.
Well,
to
that's
that.
what you guys particularly love, the genre
Yeah.
that you guys love, and which
Yeah, that's the thing.
I mean, I love that sort of genre too. So
Oh.
I'm on the boat.
She's a big fan of scaring people.
Yeah, we really launched with this idea that we were going to do a lot of narrative horror-based gaming stuff, and we've still got plans built around that, but there's just so much more out there that we didn't even know about, you know, particularly with the OSR renaissance going on and a lot of those changes that we've kind of stumbled upon through being embedded in the industry and then going to things like Gen Con, which we've never
Right.
really gone to before.
there's
Yeah, that was
And
more
then
than
it
you
just
know about.
opens up like your whole system of how you think of things and everything. Yeah,
Well, I
you
was
get
pretty
new
sure there was
information.
like 3 RPGs total, before we started doing this.
3 RP. That was it.
Yeah,
Well,
it was
that
like
seems to be the
Vampire.
journey.
It was like D&D, and then like there was like Pathfinder, I think, which was
And that was
D&D,
it?
Really, like
And that
technically.
was D&D.
That's
Really.
the journey for most people. Is they come in and they go, I want to play D&D. If they're new, they go, I want to play D&D,
Right.
and you're like, oh, okay, there's more than D&D.
Yes, it's the thing that they put front. You hear the most about and everything. It's a good introduction to things, but there's so much more out there. And
It's still one of the coolest, not cool things.
well, it's like whatever you have your taste in games, like you can find that in an RPG somewhere. And you can go with it and match your taste with that.
Including My Little Pony.
Including My Little
There
Pony.
is a My
yeah.
Little Pony RPG.
Yeah, there
Believe
is.
it or not.
Well,
Word
and
up.
it goes from something like Little Wizards, which is for little tiny kids whenever you're trying to introduce them to things, just
Or like
things
Mouse
that are
Guard.
very, very, or Mouse Guard, or something like very, very adult, where you can get into like
An inverted church of some sort.
the deep horror, or like even X-rated
All
things.
the way to
like
Fatal. It
yeah,
always comes
I
down to
mean,
Fatal.
you can explore whatever you want to explore. There's
It
an
does
RPG.
not always come down to Fatal. Just so we're clear,
Yeah.
so everybody understands, it does not always come down
There's
to
also the
Fatal.
Book of Erotic Fantasy. There was
Yeah.
35. You can
I think
play that too.
I think
Not everybody knows what Fatal is, but there is a statistic for how big your asshole is in that game. So just it is.
you need to roll the dice
So
for
there
that.
actually, it
Yes.
does tell you
Well-
by the
Yeah.
buttload.
you have to generate it on
Okay.
a table.
This
Terrifying.
Because not everyone's butthole is the same, and it's important
That's
to be
true.
inclusive to all buttholes.
That's true. You want to
You're not
include
wrong.
everybody.
And we have hit your requisite mention.
Yeah,
to-
I'm
for
glad
the
you guys
cast.
got me.
Well, there we
there.
go. Now
good.
we have butts in here, and it's
Yeah, I
perfect.
already
So.
came, so.
Remember that time?
Thanks.
Who was it? I think it was our friend Adam. Not you, but this other guy
Yeah.
named Adam.
The
and
better
we were,
one.
We were playing in
Texas
a D&D
Adam.
camp. Yeah, Texas Adam.
He
And
already
we were playing,
sounds more exciting
We
than
were
you, no
playing in a
offense.
D&D game he was running. He was like real nervous about being a GM, and he was like, oh, it's like my first time. And then I was like playing like some kind of like elven rogue or something. And I was like trying to like make all these seduction rolls against an NPC. Remember that? And remember that? And it got really gross.
Yeah, it got weird.
It got really gross.
Some of that stuff though is the best because that's the hilarious shit though that you look back on, man.
I was in college. I wasn't really thinking about the greater social context of what was
College
going on
D&D experiences
with that
and
D&D. But all I have to say is, you guys talking about role playing and buttholes reminded me of that. So that's where that story.
Bringing back memories from
And-
the past.
It's always weird trying to host like your first game, because I did that with like a module, and I was trying to run like a 4th edition with like a 3.5 module, and everybody else was really experienced. I was like, yeah, you guys can make whatever you want. And there was like a Tree King monk, and like
Yeah, no,
and
you
there was
never
like
say that.
a giant. What was it, like a sky giant, half giant? It was bad.
Never
No.
run your
His
first
name was Dust.
game
He just destroyed
for
everything.
experienced gamers because they will walk all over you.
No,
There
just
was
never.
all kinds of things where I'm like, this thing scares you, so you guys run away. They're like, why do you turn undead for 37 rounds? It runs from us. And so, me trying to tell a story, I'm like, okay, this is like the end boss of like the whole thing. It's going to break this and like eventually turn around and fight you, because how fun is it to run around and just punch something in the back as it's going, away from you? And they were like, no, 37 rounds. I'm like, okay.
It's about winning.
I'm like,
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
we'll just be hanging
They-
out then, have fun punching a ghost in the back.
Yeah, they were like, no, this is the fun part. This is what
Yeah.
we
The fun
came
part
here
is
to do.
breaking your game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the hack and slash.
Yeah.
Well, I also heard that you guys run a game design club down at Game Depot.
Well, I mean, that's
What is that about?
That's kind of true. We do two different things.
Sorta.
We do two different
Okay.
things. We do a game design group, and that's mostly at my house. And there's
Okay.
like some of the characters at the table here are in it. I'm in it. Adam's in it. Richard's in it. Some other local Phoenix area guys. Jim Miller's in it, for instance.
Okay, right.
And we all kind of sit around. We're all designing games. We're trying to like push our games through and go from nothing to self-published, I'd say at least,
Right.
in a year. And so we're kind of like experiencing how kind of crazy the roller coaster ride of creativity can be, like the
Okay.
very high highs and the very low lows. And
Well, I imagine like at the beginning you're like excited to tell everybody about it, and then when it gets down to like, yeah, how do you determine how big a butthole is? You're like, God, we need to get some like protractors and
that was
some
one of the
purposes
things
involved.
We're going to
thought
have to
going
have an
in.
expert in here to
Yeah.
explain to us.
We don't need to make rules because we can just use the rules that already exist. And then we quickly found out why there are so many rule sets out there.
I mean, there's just a lot. There's a lot of different kind of philosophical stuff that you go through while you're writing a game. Like my first foray was, I'm just going to run a Powered by the Apocalypse game. I'm going to write a Powered by the Apocalypse game, like Dungeon World or
Right.
Apocalypse World or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna because I don't want to write a system.
Right, it makes
You
it
just wanna
easy
make
because
the
you don't
story.
have. You can leave
Right.
that part out, and you can focus on just the role playing portion
Exactly.
of it. Yeah.
But then I started getting into it, and I started getting a sense of what the PBTA scene was kind of like, and I started coming up against the limitations of that kind of role playing, and I started thinking like, well, does this actually make sense for what it is I want to do? And then and seriously, I had written something like 60,000 words, which I mean, there's like a lot of
It is. It's a lot of words.
That's a lot of words. There's like
That's a novella.
published.
That's a big intro.
There's like published
I have,
modules
like-
and shit that are shorter than that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I like the direction this is going. I gotta
no.
start over. So like right now, I think I'm at like
no.
1,000 words. So I mean. It's definitely, there's like really high highs and there's really low lows. There was a point where I seriously was kicking out, I was like writing like 10,000 words a week. And then, like now, I'm like trying to get like 500 words a week,
Right.
So I mean, it's just, it's been crazy. What have you guys' experiences been? I'm talking too much.
And mine's been, I started out just going, you know what's hilarious? Ponies getting ripped apart by Cenobites. That's funny.
Yeah, clearly.
And then I started writing it, and I realized, I actually have to have like a setting and things to do, and not just
It's an excellent
jokes.
idea, but we need to do some world building, right?
So I have to do some world building in this, and then I was kind of like, oh man, this is like I have little spurts of inspiration, and then I have periods where I'm like, oh god, this is impossible. I don't know how this is ever going to work. So yeah, it's a journey. It's another one of those growth processes where I went into it thinking it'll be one thing, and then it turned out to be another thing.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it sounds way more fun to just destroy somebody else's world with jokes.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
just watch them kind of like just fall down inside as they're
Yeah,
just,
just their-
as you're just
that
going through
crestfallen
adding
expression.
unicorns into their World of Darkness game.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that's the thing,
Why is
right?
this happening?
As we're podcasters and we're people who have been in this scene for like a really long time, and all of us, you're saying at this table, we all have like opinions, about like,
Right.
open up a book and like, I don't like this or I do like that, and I know because I've been around for so long, I've read so many fucking books. But then when you really sit down in front of the typewriter and there's like the blank page in front of you and you're attempting to breathe something out into the world, that's a completely different experience. And all of the stuff that you thought was going to be so fucking easy because you're so good at pointing out what's wrong with other people's shit, it's actually a much bigger mountain to climb.
I'm trying to build my whole career on that, so don't.
Well,
Just shitting
many
on other people's
have.
stuff.
Many have.
Oh, nice pool. I'm just going to take a dump right here.
Right. Well, and I went ahead and I wrote something. It's rather short, but it's kind of a combination of an RPG and a board game. So
Right.
it's like a strategic part and a RPG part. And I wrote it out. And it was like, the strategic part, like I know how that works. And like I play tested it once with a guy who admittedly, it was at a game playtest event, and the guy admitted like, I don't like RPGs and I don't know much about strategy. And I
Oh,
was
well,
like,
and you're like, this is not for you,
this
sir.
is not really for you, but I was like, okay, well, we'll just go ahead and like roll some dice and see how it goes. and I have to rewrite the
okay,
whole
and
thing.
I have to ask you. So you didn't throw away your like 70,000 words worth of stuff.
No,
you
I
just
mean,
put
I
it
got
away,
it.
right?
Yeah,
you just
I got
like
it.
saved it. Okay.
Yeah,
It'll
like
be in a revision.
Yeah.
site.
Yeah, okay. Because you can always go back to that. I think, though, it's cool that you have, like, a group of people that are dedicated to doing that and to, like, bounce ideas off of and stuff like that and kind of walk each other through it and, you know, keep each other engaged and things. Like, that's fantastic.
It's been so critical to the process because, like, if I had tried to just write that game in, like, a bubble, like, just like, oh, I'm so smart. I'm so full of smart ideas. Look at all this brilliance.
I know
coming out of me.
exactly what I'm doing. Don't talk to me.
Exactly. Then I mean, I think it'd be utter garbage. We do regular peer reviews, and I did the first peer review because I had a ton of words. And Richard sat me down at the peer review, and he was like, and he said probably the most valuable thing anybody's ever said to me in the creation of the game, which was, why would I play this? And I was like,
and you're like,
I was like,
oh damn.
Like inside, I'm like, because it's rad.
punch him?
Why
And he's
would
like-
I play?
He's like the characters are miserable. The setting is like unrepentantly brutal. Like he's like
Wait, this
there's-
Richard said that?
Yeah. He's like
He is
what?
always so supportive.
He's like, what is the fun? He's like, where is the fun in this? And my whole ethos up until that point had been like, I'm gonna write this pitch black horror game that is like the most horrifying horror game ever.
Right.
And having Richard kind of hold a mirror up to that and be like,
This
well,
sucks, bro. You
okay,
need to
yeah,
stop.
this is like an incredibly
You
miserable
need to
game.
go to a shrink.
But why? You know, like it's an important question because somebody you want the end user to eventually like pick it up and be like, I want to spend $20 and then immerse myself and my friends in this world. There has to be something enjoyable in it.
Well,
something.
somebody out there
Absolutely.
must hate themselves
It has to be
enough to buy
some.
it.
It has to be something you want to role play.
You're like,
you
I
know?
just want to sit in a
Yeah.
tub and hate myself. This seems like a great book to read.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm trying to build my career on breaking everyone else down.
Gotcha.
That's
But,
kind of...
You know, you joke, but the fact of the matter is you're a very like honest and straightforward and to the point guy, and you think analytically, and you have the respect for the people that you surround yourself with to speak in a forthright manner with them, and that is worth so much more than a bunch of people kind of like kissing your ass and telling you you're great, and then thinking to themselves like, this is fucking terrible.
Right. Well, you don't need
You
yes
know?
men to make an
Exactly.
idea come
but
to
I
life
do.
like that.
Just in general.
Well,
I
you
need
do-
more yes men.
You
and
don't
yes
need
women.
it because then nobody's going to tell you the honest truth about what's missing from your game. Like, you need
Exactly.
the negative opinions to figure out the missing holes that you have in your game. Like,
I
that's
kick those
really
people out
important.
of the group.
Well,
I mean,
okay.
And
You're no longer welcome, sir.
you made some adjustments,
Yeah.
and then you push forward, and then we played the Powered by the Apocalypse version,
Yeah, we did.
and I had a lot of fun, and I understand, like, you were looking for more stuff built into the system to help you do what you wanted to do. I was having a lot of fun because I was literally playing a 100-year-old vampire that didn't use a cell phone, and no one, they were like, well, how do we deal with that? Like, no one could deal with that. Like, it was just the most hilarious thing.
It was interesting. I did a couple play tests of the game. It's a game that's about vampires, and if you guys seem to know Vampire the Masquerade.
I
right?
love Vampire the Masquerade. It's one of my favorite.
I don't.
What-
Like,
what's
one of
kinda-
my, no, you don't? No. I mean, you're just wearing a Bruja shirt for nothing. I
Well,
mean,
we're both old school
ironic.
Masquerade guys.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
what's
I like
kind of baked into that setting is this idea that like vampires aren't actually anachronistic. That I'm a 500-year-old guy and I'm like hacking. You know, I'm like hacking the planet. You know, right? Nobody wants to play a vampire that's like old and crusty and like stuck in the 1800s, right? Even though like I'm only in my 30s. And yet, sometimes I look around at the world and I don't understand it, right? I think to myself, like, why don't people listen to CDs anymore? You know what I'm saying?
Why is my
CDs,
refrigerator doing a Windows update?
CDs were better, you know?
What's this to Twitters, and why do I need to get on it?
Some of that stuff.
She had me set up with
Yeah.
Twitter for like a year and a half, and I was like, what's my password? I've never logged in. She's like, what?
So one of the big successes I felt that came out of the game was that people seemed sort of weirdly inclined to play anachronistic characters. I don't know why. I don't know what it is that I wrote that made it so people like actually were like, oh no, my character's 100 years old. He doesn't even like to use phones. To him, phones are a bit weird,
But that's
much
the
less
best
cell
part,
phones.
putting like self limits on there. Like I
Right?
played a new Bruja that was like, yeah, I'm like 2 weeks old.
Yeah.
So, like, when situations would come up where I could potentially eat another player, and they'd be like, "You can't do it. It's against the rules." I'd be like, "Whose rules?" Well, it's the prince's rules. Who's the prince?
What's the prince?
Yeah, I'm just gonna do this now, unless you guys can stop me. If you can, this is happening.
And that's a weird thing, though, because when you
Vampire.
look at vampire media, they're usually these anachronistic characters in the media. Like, there's very little vampire media where they're just, like, riding around, with the Underworld movies being an exception, where they're, like, riding around on sport bikes, like, blasting people with submachine guns. And there's even anachronistic characters in that movie, which makes that make even less sense.
Right?
'Cause you're like, her sire's not that much older than she is. He uses a sword, and she, like, has double pistols and wears a latex catsuit.
I think it's because
But
Masquerade.
she can wear it. That's part of it.
Yeah, that's true.
If I could fit into one of those and actually get back out of it, I would wear
You
one.
didn't want to see.
I'm sure it's very liberating.
I
Bill
think
in a latex catsuit. Come on.
Masquerade
Come
was
on.
based so heavily on the Anne Rice material, and because those vampires don't have a problem with it. Like, Lestat is always like, "Oh, I've been asleep for 200 years.
I'm a rock star.
Rock music.
Right.
I dig it. I dig it, cats." So I think that it was based on that kind of, like, zeitgeist.
Right.
And so that's why that game feels that way, even though it's not really reflective of basically any other vampire media. You
Right,
know?
because most of it, they're
Okay.
just, they don't try to adapt with the times. They just tell everybody to adapt around them.
Exactly.
It's a romantic idealism that they're using to, they're like Lestat is a romantic.
They're making
idealism.
vampires romantic.
Oh, it's like super old dude.
You don't say.
It's pretty much that's what.
You
then
don't
why- why-
say.
Brad
That's
Pitt with
odd.
long hair.
Where
Oh my
is-
God! And Antonio Banderas. Oh,
Yeah, why did that happen?
Is it romantic or is it sexy? Because there's a difference. Romantic is different than sexy.
It
I feel
matters
like
which
it's
vampire we're
sexy, but
talking
not
about.
Romantic.
You clearly haven't read my book, Adam.
Because to me, like, Bram
The
Stoker's
Player's Guide to
Dracula-
Being a Player.
Bram
the
Stoker's
player's
Dracula
guide to
creepy
being
as
a
he
player.
is.
That's fantastic.
There is a
Good line.
romantic character in that movie, like Gary Oldman to me is a romantic character in that movie, whereas I kind of see like
Hey, man,
Antonio
different boats
Banderas
for different
and
folks.
Tom Cruise
I don't
is
think
just
that's
like,
the
oh, they're
same.
just sexy.
I felt like Gary Oldman got sexy in Dracula. You don't think he got sexy?
You didn't like the man bun? He pioneered that.
He's giving her all those smoldering looks and stuff. That's sexy.
Just because
Anyway,
people
whatever.
do like one man bun now. The double man bun was where it's at.
Well, okay, and have you written then books before, or like how hard is it?
Geez, no. I mean, I'm one of those guys who's like always starting books and then never finishing.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had aborted NaNoWriMo
Yeah.
attempts in the past. So.
I have like thousands of pages of like.
I'm just wondering how
non-fin-
different it is from creating like a RPG, like a world system that you built from an RPG versus like world building in a book.
I think that it's much easier, really. I
Yeah.
mean, because
You
it's
just do
it's
flavor packets, right? Like a
it's-
little bit of flavor. You
Little
don't
bit
have
of
to-
spice over
Well, you
here.
You don't have to put in all this
characters that are
dialogue.
rebelling against you.
Yeah.
That was one of the things of writing novels and novellas was sometimes the characters don't do what you want them to do.
Oh, so it adds interest and intrigue and stuff.
I mean,
yeah.
Well, with a novel, you have to write all the parts, though, too. Like with an RPG, you're like, this is how this person would act, and then you let the player finish that, right? Like finish
Yeah.
the rest of the story. You don't have to write out the whole story.
But
from
still,
beginning to
writing
end.
both, you're still building worlds.
No, pick one.
the thing about role playing games is that, and maybe this is sort of an antiseptic way of looking at them, but they're essentially instruction manuals. They're kind of like peppy, fun instruction manuals to playing cops and robbers with your friends.
Okay.
And so writing an instruction manual, I guess if you're a certain type of person, is actually much easier than writing like a detailed narrative that has like emotional resonance and that has relatable characters and for instance, interesting dialogue that doesn't seem wooden and stuff
Right.
like that. I mean, you're basically just sitting there and writing like, oh, well, this is how you make a character and this is what the world is and this is what it's like. And if you go from general to specific, like these things are, I mean, especially if you've read 1 billion role-playing books like we have, you kind of understand what the voice is, what the cadence is.
Right.
I mean, I could sit there and
Yeah,
just...
and you don't have to worry about maintaining that internal logical consistency
Yeah,
as you
well,
progress
Okay.
it forward. That's on the storyteller and the players to maintain that, or
Yeah.
not as they see fit. But you just kind of go, here's the starting point, and go nuts.
We got elves, but no dwarves. Go!
On some level, you don't actually have to have a story. You can just have a list of premises. I
Okay.
mean, like you can always be like, "What if
Right.
vampires ruled the world? What if
There's
vampires
entire
are made to
role-playing books
deal
that
with
are
people?"
nothing but tables you can roll on.
Yeah,
where
just
you're like,
premises.
Look, I got a thing.
Well, I always kind of like that about the World of Darkness, like player supplement books, the little clan books. is that they would have different characters in the back where you felt like, okay, I can get an idea of like this is a character archetype that I might want to try, and then you put your own stats on it and your own like little twists, and then you kind of go from there. It gives you like a little.
Oh yeah, that's so fucking
When they
great.
start talking about people in the world, and you're like, oh yeah, that guy's kind of cool. Maybe I want to be involved with that guy. Like, how would I do that?
Well, and it comes down to leaving blank spaces for the players to make shit up.
To fill in.
And this is kind of codified in the Powered by the Apocalypse stuff, is like leaving blank spaces is important in role-playing games because if you don't leave anything to any imagination, then you're constantly going to be like petrified that you're going to cross the different worlds.
The Forgotten Realms is the most stagnant, boring, claustrophobic place that you can be in your role playing. If you sit down and you're like, oh, I'm going to go to the Forgotten Realms, and you're like, oh, well, that's so-and-so kingdom. Everything over there has been done. We're going to travel a little bit further. Everything over there has been done. Every monster has been defeated. Guys, I mean, seriously, you get those DMG books, like, with explaining what's going on in the Forgotten Realms, and there's, like, NPCs who are, like, 27th level. They're just hanging out in an inn, and you're like, what's the point of me being here?
Yeah,
you know
why
what
do
I'm
they
saying?
need a hero?
Yeah.
At the
like
same time,
good.
I feel like that was kind of one of the things Requiem missed from Masquerade, was it didn't have that world built in for you to play in. It didn't have those NPCs and those archetypes and everything clearly laid out.
Well, some are
like,
good
there's a
because you
golden
want
mean.
some to be able to step in and like kind of smack you around a little bit. It's always good. Like some elder comes around and he's just like, yeah, I'm around now and I'm just going to kick you out.
It was just a toolbox. It was like,
Right.
here's a toolbox and do whatever you want with it, instead of like, hey, here's a toolbox and here's a bunch of stuff we made with the toolbox. Look at all this cool
It's
stuff.
like romance
Right.
and sex. You got to have a fine line between them.
Wow.
But to your earlier point, we do also do a club at Game Depot in Tempe, Arizona.
Okay.
That's on alternate Fridays, and this is our off Friday, so I don't know when people will hear this, but
Never.
What-
We
Should
don't
be
actually-
next week, so it'll
Yeah,
be the
next-
Friday.
We don't post
that,
it.
The
yeah,
fir-
so it'll
the first-
be this Friday, guys.
Oh, okay, yeah. First Friday of
Third,
February,
second, whichever
we'll be there at Game Depot. But
Essentially, if you get there on a Friday and you're not there, then just come back next week.
yeah, come back the
Yeah,
next week.
right?
And,
so
Very simple.
Buy something from there and then come back next week
Yeah,
and
and
then
our-
hang out at the club.
Our goal with it is to expose people to RPGs maybe they haven't experienced or played before. So we're not doing D&D, which is a question we get a lot is, hey,
Yeah.
do you guys have a D&D game? And we're like,
There's so
no.
many RPGs out there. Like, why would you do D&D at this point? You know, unless it was your first game where you don't know what you're looking at and stuff.
It's still
I
a fun
mean,
system. I just think it's good to try these other ones, and I don't like spending money, so it's good to use your guys' books.
Right. So, yeah, it's like I just wrapped up a 13th Age campaign. Brendan's doing Lamentations of Flame Princess. Ben's doing Blades in the Dark. And I'll be starting
Wheel of Time?
Year Zero
Oh, sorry.
this Friday. So,
Yeah.
it's just to get people experience with new games that maybe they haven't seen or tried before.
And it kind of loops back around to what you were saying in the very beginning, which is that D&D is kind of where everybody starts, and a lot of
Right.
people don't even know that there's other games, right? And it's so easy to find a D&D game at this point. So if you to find D&D or Pathfinder Society, you can go to any game store in town. They'll
There's
have a
online
night.
games,
They're
there's- yeah.
Right.
yeah, you can try it out, see if you like it, and then
Uh-huh.
go, hey, there's something else out there that also matches something
Yeah,
else
was
that I might want to
That
play.
was our other constraint.
You
Is
know?
it has to be something that's currently being published. So we
Yeah.
can't go in there and be
Okay.
like Vampire the Masquerade 2nd Edition, and people go, "Where do we get
Yeah,
these books?"
and you're like,
we
you
go,
can't.
Nowhere. Go on
Suckers.
eBay.
Yeah,
or
we got like
find
some
them
weird like
somewhere.
Lost Souls game that I don't even know how we
Well,
got it. And
And I like going with more of an unknown RPG because I feel like then I can play with the players more with that, you know,
Right.
you
because
can just
everybody
make
doesn't
shit up
know
'cause
everything.
Nobody knows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I feel
Unless
like
you're
you get a
running,
better
like, Mephidius'
experience.
Star Trek, in which case some guy
Well-
comes in and goes, "Well, this class of ship wouldn't be named this way
Yeah.
because in the Romulan Dominion Wars they had." And you're just
You're
going,
like,
"Oh
"Shut
my
up,
God,
you."
shoot
That's
me
how I
in the
feel like it'd
face."
be.
You're
if
no
I ever-
longer invited.
That's how I feel like the Star Wars games have to be, because like I'm like borderline. Like I've watched the movies, but like that's it, and I have like a basic level grasp. So I feel like if I went to one of those, people would just destroy me. They'd be like, "You can't do that." I'd be like, but I
You
I
either
want
have
to.
the guys who are like super knowledgeable about the setting and are going to run you down that way, or you've got the guys who are like, "I'm going to be a Toydarian," and run you down that way. Those are your two
Yeah.
options.
Yeah.
Actually, Tordarians are Star
Actually,
Wars. That's what you get. That's what you.
So we do that. It's like 5:30. Show up if you want to make a character. 6 o'clock. We try and have dice on the table. We usually play. And I mean, because the store closes at 9 on Fridays, so we
Yeah.
usually like are wrapping up like 8:30, 8:45.
They don't mess around. They go to bed on
they
time.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
They will kick
So
you
they're
out.
like, get out of our store.
That's what you do when you've had a game store for years. You're just like, yeah, I'm going to go home now. Get out.
I'm going to put you in a headlock and drag you you out.
I don't
right,
actually
that's
need
right.
your money. I'm just going to go home. You
It's
guys
just like
lock
a
up.
really like low key experience. You can come down, get some experience in a different setting, maybe meet some new people. There's room at all of our tables. There's not a single table that cannot accommodate new players. So if you're in the local Phoenix area, the Metro Phoenix area, you want to come down, you want to try Lamentations of the Flame Princess, Mutant Year Zero, or Blades in the Dark, please do consider coming down. We'd be very happy to have you. We might come off like we're complete assholes, but
Like-
we're not.
Look,
No one's a complete asshole.
I was.
You got to have some other parts.
I've been playing in the Blades in the Dark game.
Yeah.
And it is one of the most crazy off the wall. Not like in the we're doing crazy off the wall things. It just happens. Like we were playing Blades in the Dark is imagine Dishonored, which is the kind of steampunk PS3 game or whatever, crossed with the Powered by the Apocalypse game. So this city is surrounded by this fence against demons, and there are demon whales in the sea, and that's what fuels the city by taking the oil from the demon whales. And you're all a bunch of cut purses or we were smugglers, and we
I
were
just want to be the whale.
well.
I'm just looking to get harpooned later.
Well,
Well,
I winked. You can't
Hold
see me
on.
that.
wait a minute.
Sly wink.
And that's
doesn't
the end of that
translate
story.
well. That's usually how I get them to stop.
well, then, do you guys switch up games, or is it just a bunch of people playing different games at the time?
So we kind of run them to where we feel is either a natural conclusion. Then we kind of ask the players, "What do you want to do? Do you want
Okay.
to continue or do you want to switch?" In my
You wanna
case,
try
I was
something
like,
else. Okay.
"Hey, I can't stay on any one thing for too long, so I'd like to switch to Mutant Year Zero and do something a little different."
I think that's fair, though. That seems kind of fun, because then you can try it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes
So-
being in a 3-year-long campaign can be rough.
Yeah, it can be
It's
very
nice,
dragging.
but it
and
can
so
be
it's
like,
nice when you
oh,
can
we're
just
doing
kinda-
this again. Okay.
Yeah.
I want my character to die. Somebody stake me, please.
The guys in my game requested that we continue the Lamentations of the Flame Princess game, and because I have
Is it
two
because
players.
you're better at it than he is?
No, it's because I have two
can
guys
tell
who have shown up
You'd
to
almost
every
have to
single
be.
session, and then there's people who come in and come out. But the two guys who've been to every single session were like, "No, we're kind of invested in this. We want to keep playing." And so I was like, I could run Lamentations of the Flame Princess until the cows come home. The question is at some point they will have seen all my tricks. And then we're probably going to have to wrap it up there.
Right.
And, you're like, and
Look,
we're done.
Yeah.
I've
Ta-da.
been played in all three of these guys. Two they're here, and the one that's not, and they're both expert.
We don't talk about the third one.
Well, yeah, Ben. Shout out to Ben. Wish you were here.
Part of
but
we don't
they're
talk about
both
Ben. Do you not understand? Yeah, now you got me doing it.
right. Exactly. But they're both excellent GMs.
Rest in peace, Ben.
And you should be glad to be in their games.
Thanks,
So.
man. Thanks for the start.
Okay, so back to gaming, RPGs.
Good. I'm
RPGs.
glad this is still going.
So, if new players were going to run an RPG, what sort of RPG would you guys recommend for them
Run
to
or
play? Let's do both. Let's do
Okay.
run. So, like
And
new
then if we don't
game
like your
master
answer,
coming
we're gonna
in,
change the
and then
question.
let's do play as well.
So if you're going to run one for the first time, I recommend getting a module and using that as at least a starting point, because that's going to get you a story, a setting, antagonists, encounters, and all of that stuff. I would honestly, for brand new people, stick with the classics like D&D. If you dump a new storyteller, a new player, someone new to RPGs into a narrative style game, they may struggle a bit
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because they're not used to that.
because they're not used to it.
Well,
I
and
think
then-
having those rules and that that kind of experience can
Well, I
help
mean,
guide them a little.
But they're not used to anything. So you have like this completely blank slate that you're working from. And so the question is what are you conditioning yourself to be used to? So I would contra that you'd want to start with something like Dungeon World, because it's just going to be, at that point, you're not going to be worried so much about rules. You're just going to be training yourself to be about character. You're going to be training yourself to be about story. You can, and then later on, you can always add rules, but the process of deprogramming yourself out of making skill checks and always consulting the book and doing feat trees and stuff, that can be actually really hard.
See, I would counter you just go with King of Tokyo.
Wow.
It's not an RPG.
Isn't it though? 'Cause
He
if you're wearing
role-plays
a
that dragon,
costume while
I
you're
mean-
playing
I mean,
it,
I guess you
isn't
could
it
do...
an RPG? Now it's a
Hold
large
on.
too.
That's a different type of role-playing game, okay? I'm
Are
sorry.
you coming from,
Yeah.
and that's another thing, are you coming from board gaming world like Descent? Because you may already have an expectation that there's those hard rules and everything else. It really depends on what your background is, but
I like the
honestly,
module because it gives you a taste, and then it helps you like watch the characters grow through because usually a module will take you from like 1 to 4
Right.
or 1 to 3, so you can kind of see the level up process like with your players and
yeah.
just
and you
read
can
your
find
part
D&D
and like go, okay.
anywhere, and you can find D&D encounters anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's got at least ubiquity as a selling point.
And it's bite sized. You can just be like, I'm going to read the first like 3 encounters just in case we get that far.
It's nice to have a module to work from, and I've definitely done that. I've definitely made a lot of my gaming bones off of running modules. What's important is that you have someone in your circle or just in like the media somewhere who's giving you permission to go off that script. You know, I think it's really easy to get kind of like myopic and tunnel vision and start being like, oh, well, it says this on the page, so I have to do it, or this has to go this way. And certainly when I was in high school, I definitely felt that way about a lot of games I was running or games I was playing in. And then as a GM, as like a new GM, I was like, you guys aren't doing it right. You're not doing what I want you to do. And you gotta learn.
You can't turn
The
left.
players aren't
Everyone turns
behaving
left.
correctly.
Yeah.
You're supposed to turn right. Statistically, everyone turns right in the dungeon.
You're ruining my story.
I didn't even
guys.
build out the
You
left
know, and
side
it's
of the
just like,
dungeon.
You gotta, so you gotta learn that to let go and be like, well, actually, the fun part of this game is when they go off script, or when some stupid NPC that like literally you threw in there with no name just to fill a role becomes like integral to the story.
They're BFF, and then all of a sudden they're following them.
Well, like,
Yeah.
my favorite storyteller was in a Vampire Masquerade game, and he actually didn't write anything beforehand. He would just show up and just wait to see what shit we would come up with.
Yeah.
And we'd spend the whole week like thinking of like, all right, when we get back, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to start this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that thing. And so then he'd be like, okay, yeah, you can do that. And oh, if you want to do that, you can try that, but I'll actually make you roll for that one. You're
Yeah.
like, ooh, maybe I don't want to do that.
I would recommend finding what world or what
Genre?
not genre,
Like-
but like Star Wars.
Right.
Like if everybody at the table is familiar with Star Wars, I recommend going with Star Wars because you already know what the world is. It's about then you're about like, oh, you're just dealing with kind of mechanics. Everybody, it's like porn. Everybody knows what it is, but you can't define it. Like defining Star Wars
I can
is
define porn.
well, I know you can define porn, but I don't want to look at your
I can
search
find
history.
porn, too.
But I'm just saying like.
That's some
It-
dumb
It's all
If-
about
if-
role-playing game.
If everybody isn't familiar with Babylon 5, then go play the Babylon 5 game or whatever. Like, I mean, D&D is that thing that everybody's kind of familiar with. So I think it's
Well, you
kinda-
can run into problems with that if like your players know way more than you do. That's the problem I ran into. They knew like so much that they kept on like arguing the rules with me. Like a guy's like, I want a multi-class. I'm like, oh, that's cool. He's like, I'm just going to be a monk fighter. I'm like,
well,
that doesn't
that-
seem bad.
that's
He's
a-
like,
that's a
chain
rules-
fighter, and I'm just going to trip all your guys, and they get a -4 when they're on the ground, and all your guys are prone. And I'm like, this sucks.
I
don't
see
even
exactly
want to play
what you're
anymore.
saying, Richard. I think that you make perfect sense too, because on some level, it's important for the players to understand the constraints that are put on them by the world.
So like a
And that-
basic world knowledge, but maybe not the mechanic
and I mean, they
knowledge.
understand how the world works in like on a basic level. And if you've watched a lot of Star Trek, you've watched a lot of Star Wars or Game of Thrones or any of those types of things, you know that because it's already been communicated to you. But if somebody says to you, "Oh, we're going to be playing in Eberron today," and there's like fucking mystical robots walking around, you don't even know what that means, you know. Which is why I think I said this in an episode of Full Metal RPG too a while back. You get people who are going murder hobo. I think
Murder
I think that murder hobo is is characters being dropped into a VR environment that exists in sort of like the mind's eye, and then they're testing the constraints of that
There's
world.
no consequences.
Yeah,
You're in a
see what they can get
consequence-free
away with.
environment. It's like putting someone into an open-world video game. I remember when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, I just ran around for the first 3 hours murdering everyone I could just because I could do it.
Like that's the MMO thing,
That says a
right?
lot
Like,
about
is this server PvP? It's like, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
let's
hell
go.
yes. Let's do this.
Let's go hunt some fools.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
You feel like you're in a hunter world then, because you're like, if you kill me, I'll find you 30 levels from now and mess you
As
up.
a new
Because I will
GM,
play
though,
every
you're,
night.
you're gonna have to learn these the hard way. There's no way to avoid learning these lessons the hard way, and it's part of the process.
Well, then I'm just
so
not
if you
gonna
have
do
a
it.
bad game, you had a bad game. And that's fine. Like, because
Right.
I've had
You learn from
so
it.
many bad games. I think
Yeah.
I've had more bad games than I've had
Yeah.
good games.
They can't all be good.
I want you
they
to
can't
name
all
them
be
off and the players that were in them, so I know to avoid
Well,
those
he was
people.
in one of them, and it's like,
I'm not surprised.
remember that Milwaukee vampire game? The
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. So yeah, it's a learning experience. I
Yeah.
would say don't be afraid. Like, go out, try it, find what you like. That's the only way to really do it, is to
Yeah.
go out and find what you like. And you're, to Richard's point, you're not
Right.
going to know what it is until you see it.
Or counterpoint, be very afraid and just give up.
Well,
There's
and,
always that option.
and obviously listen to your guys' podcast and figure out, you know, information from you guys and what you guys like and recommendations and stuff like that.
That was
so.
a good
tried to
plug. I
help.
like it.
No, okay.
We tried to help at Full Metal RPG. I would say, in closing, when you do bomb, like, grab the one guy, the one person at your table who actually responded to what you were doing and was like, no, I think that was cool. And then the two of you go find a new group. Right. Because
really, why we're doing this is for the kids, to help the children.
I would say, though, another good way would be coming to one of your guys' open game nights where you guys are running the different ones. Because
Oh,
then I
yeah.
can come watch you guys and steal your best stuff.
There you go.
And then lie and say it's mine. I'm like, guys, I made up this whole storyline. Trust me with this.
But yeah, playing's a lot easier than GMing. If we're
Well,
playing, you just
yeah,
gotta
that's-
find
that's
what you
totally
like.
different,
Like, if
yeah.
you want to be Shadowrun, like Shadowrun appeals to you, go get Shadowrun. If you like D&D, go get D&D. Just go to a game store and look around.
don't get Shadowrun, kids. Kids. Uncle
Friends
Brandon
don't
is
let
here
their
to tell
friends
you.
play Shadowrun.
Don't get Shadowrun 5, kids. This guy over here is trying to say Shadowrun 5. Don't spend your $50 on that.
Yeah,
No.
I still have a Shadowrun book for sale if anybody wants one. Brendan.
Well, you can do what I do,
Brendan.
which is like
What is it, fourth
invest
edition?
heavily into
Yeah.
Dark Sun and
How
then
much is
like
it?
play one
I don't
night.
know, just like $5. You can have it. I don't
Oh,
care.
I'll buy it off.
Is
you.
it
know.
$5 or can he have it?
He can have it.
I'll
like,
buy it
it's-
off
It
you.
was the game he
Give
was
me
going to
$2.50,
run,
I
and
just
gonna
it
run it.
aborted.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Well, and you guys are doing something really cool at Arizona Game Fair here in a few weeks.
I'm going to let Adam talk about that because Adam's really
Okay,
the star
I'm
of
super
that
excited
show.
about
That's
this.
the
Okay.
Happy Time Dungeon hour. That's going to air.
Happy
maybe
Time
more appropriate.
Dungeon hour.
We are going to
Great,
do
we
a
haven't even
live
started it yet.
RPG.
You've already fumbled it, Adam.
I know.
That's
I
it.
always do this.
I was totally going to
Why
go
am I
until you
such a
said
mess
that.
up?
God damn it.
Yeah, so I screw up everything I try. Yeah, that'll be a live RPG that we're going to do. It'll be about an hour. We're going to be running Dungeon World. And
Have you
just
ever
see
done
what
an
happens.
undead RPG? Well, wait. No.
We're
I
talking
have
about
done
Arizona
plenty
Game
of
Fair.
undead
Oh, sorry.
RPGs. I played so much Vampire. I don't even know where to start.
So you're going to be running this, and it's going to be on stage.
It'll be on stage.
Okay.
There will be peoples, and it will be random and chaotic, and we're going to see how it goes. I have no idea.
Who's going to be there? Like, who's going to be the players?
Jim Miller will be there. Brendan will be there. Holly will be there. She McGinnis, yeah, McGinty. Holly
Oh, okay.
McGinty. She's a singer in a local rock band.
Very
local metal band. So.
And somebody from the crowd, I heard.
Yes, and someone from the crowd.
Yeah, that's the plan.
That's
as
really
of-
cool.
How are you picking
Yeah,
the
we'll
crowd
see how that
person?
goes.
Is
I'm
it
just
based
going to
off
ask
who
for
has
volunteers
The
and,
biggest foam finger?
and
like,
just pick someone out at random.
is it like Price is Right? If I wear a shirt, they're like, I just want to meet Adam. Then you'll
I'm
be
just
like,
gonna be
come
like,
on down.
Oh, that would be
Please
rad.
me, no.
Somebody do that. Somebody wear a I Want to Meet Adam shirt,
Yeah.
please. Please, come on, goddamn.
You
it.
have
No one has
displeased
ever
me.
before.
I will not select you. Bring in the next one.
Well, and
Take him away. Execute him.
that's really cool because I think in today's age with social media and everything, that's kind of what people want to see. People want to see people go through these adventures and sort of like the shenanigans that are happening. And it's awesome to be able to see that live, like in front of you.
The
It is.
millennials love that stuff.
That's right.
I think it's
That
only going
and
to be an
avocado
hour,
toast.
right? So it's
what's
going
up
to be
with that?
60 minutes,
it's good,
right?
but-
And we're going to have,
good.
you know, we're just going to get up there and play through the little scenarios.
Yeah, we're going to play through a little
very
scenario,
short
2 or 3
scenario.
scenes, and just see how it goes, and hopefully be entertaining.
You
and
don't
if we're
have to
not,
worry about
they
some
just won't invite us
3-hour
back. So
Yeah.
There's always that.
It's not my
option.
problem.
I have faith
That's
that
Richard's
I have
problem.
faith that people will make entertaining.
It is most
stuff.
certainly my problem that they go over an hour. But there's going to be a bingo card, I think, or like something about whether or not they start burning things down immediately. That's like the bingo card. Like, how quickly do you get to murder and how quickly you get to arson? Like, that's literally the RPG bingo game.
That would be fantastic. Everybody has bingo cards, and as soon as stuff
you just-
starts
Richard
happening,
did say he was going to have an X card he was going to play as
There
the
you
moderator,
go.
and it was going to be a brick with just an X drawn on it. He was going to throw it at my head if things went a little off the rails.
well, what day is that and what time?
It's going to be Saturday at 6 p.m.
Saturday at 6 p.m. at Arizona Game Fair.
February
Make sure.
10th.
February 10th, correct.
Saturday, February 10th.
So the week
Perfect.
after this gets posted. So
Yeah.
come on out if you want to.
If you want to just come
Heckle
down
us, or-
and just listen to that,
If
you
you're-
can buy a day pass to AZ Game Fair and just go there for that day, play some games, listen to Happy Dungeon Hour. Say it for me.
Happy Time Dungeon.
Happy Time Dungeon Hour.
I was the one that came up with that as a joke, and apparently it stuck with somebody. So Happy Time Dungeon
Okay.
Hour.
Yeah, the
If
thing
you like
about
seeing
the thing
train
about
wrecks
Full Metal
come.
RPG is you should never say jokes around us.
Yes, because
we
They'll be
will-
ingrained.
we just make
Forever.
them reality, like
Yeah.
like my promo picture on the flyer for
Yeah.
it. We were just like, yep, that's what we're doing. I'm going to pick the worst picture of me possible. There we go.
That's fantastic.
I thought it was a good likeness.
Well,
It really is.
to kind of get a taste of what you guys are going to do, I thought that we would go ahead and do a Mystery Dungeon 1000
All right, Mystery
while we're
Dungeon
here. I'm so excited.
1000. All right.
How does
All
this
right.
work?
Okay, so how this works is usually someone's going to read a small blurb, and the rest of us are going to be players. One of us is going to be leading the GM. We're going to pick special classes here and what we're going to be. I'm going to read it off.
All right. So I will
Oh,
read this
goodness.
scenario. King Andronicus the Wrathful has commanded that you take Philip, his hemophiliac son with brittle bone disease, with you on an adventure into the caverns of broken glass, sudden drops, and rusty nails.
Holy shit.
What could possibly go wrong?
This seems nice.
I've seen that in
I got
my
this.
Shyamalan Ding Dong movie. This
Movie.
is going to go fine.
It'll be fine.
All right, and we're all going to go through what we are playing tonight. Who wants to start? Me? All right, I am a hot-headed halfling warlock from an illusionary forest who is afraid of the rest of the party and will kill them if they try to leave.
That sounds like my first WoW character.
I feel like I shouldn't have told you the end portion of that.
Yeah, I think you kind of messed up with that one.
I was just reading. I wasn't paying
Well, it's
attention.
like as
Okay.
I read mine off, I'm like going to turn my head so like the king can't hear me because I'm like a very quiet at this moment, boisterous halfling paladin from a string of terrible places to live who hates the monarchy.
Bro, we're halflings.
We're halfling bros.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Go
I'm
ahead,
saying,
go ahead,
but like
Richard.
you don't want to like
What
see.
you
I
got?
didn't tell the
What you
king
got,
I
Tom?
hate the monarchy. You don't start off with that.
You might.
I'm a mean sorcerer from an underwater city who once dried
He's an illiterate sorcerer from a waterland.
once dried by a magical force field who always alliterates their anecdotes. So, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that, but that's fine.
Alliterate the anecdotes is alliterative already. So
Yeah, I was about to say. So apparently I am playing a sweet tiefling wizard,
Hells yeah.
which is, as we all know, the king of all class and race pairings. I am from a gnome-run orphanage, and I have terrible personal hygiene.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that
So you're
last
not
part is
role-playing
kind
then.
of
It's relatable. Hashtag
You're supposed to get
relatable.
out of your comfort zone, not like
Yeah.
be yourself.
Hashtag lots of experience with this.
Okay, so we're traveling together as a group, and we all get one chance to make a role in this game. So make it count. Make it count. Okay.
all right.
So we met. Where did we start?
You are in the throne room of King Andronicus the Wrathful,
Okay.
and he has gathered you all here, and he says, "This is my son, Philip. And in order to make him a man as my firstborn who will one day inherit my empire of wrath and pain, I require that you take him into the caverns of broken glass, sudden drops, and rusty nails. And next to him you see this slight boy with milky skin and hay-like hair that's almost white, and he's shivering almost like a chihuahua. You can see the fine blue veins that run through his skin, and you can see he's bruised in several places, mostly around his
It sounds
joints.
like you're describing Richard's MySpace profile pic. It's kind of messed up.
And he's very timidly standing there.
This is bullshit. Bullshit. So, guys, I'm looking at you.
All right, kid, come on. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh, King!
Let's go.
We can take your son and make him a man. Especially this halfling over here.
So once the kid is outside of the throne room, we kind of cart him outside. I will cast a force field over him that I will concentrate on the rest of the time, so he cannot be put against sharp glass, sudden drops, and rusty nails.
Gonna have to roll for that, sir.
You must roll.
I feel
for
like I'm
your
in a
force
really
field.
weird
I feel like
Places
he's
up.
gonna fuck this up the first try. Oh, shit!
You rolled a 3.
Why-
That will not do it.
Why do
You cast a
even-
force field. Unfortunately, you forget to allow the force field to be permeable. And you are not aware of this. So he is now in a shimmering force field that he can't really walk in because it goes around his feet. So he's sliding around everywhere, kind of falling in the force field and getting more bruised as he does so.
Son of a bitch!
Is it like a
Who brought
hamster
you on the
wheel?
Yeah, it's like
Party.
a big hamster ball. He said he didn't want him to get cut by broken glass, so it has to go under his feet.
Does anybody know how
but
to get
it's
this
stationary.
force field?
I
Roll
definitely
it.
do
You
not
can
know
move
how
it.
to do
Oh,
that.
so it's like one of those things you can do it like a field day kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it's like one of those bubble ball
it's like
things.
those big, disgusting, non-hygienic bubble balls.
Yes.
We're gonna need one of the. We're gonna
Right.
need. Who has rope?
I have rope.
Of course you have
says the
rope.
tiefling.
Wizard.
This
I
makes
say,
sense.
This rope might be slightly dirty. There may have been some Michael Hutchins-esque type behaviors going on previously.
can no longer smell the tiefling. And further,
What?
I can't really smell anything inside of this bubble.
And I think I'm running out of air.
So what do you require with my rope, halfling? Seems weird.
Are you talking to me?
Aren't you both halflings?
Yes.
I don't want your rope.
There are multiple
Paladins
halflings.
don't need rope.
I'm just saying we could possibly. I mean, if you're good at tying knots, we could pull the rope around the bubble and
She's
drag
getting really
him
kinky.
along.
I'm like, I don't really.
Well, I don't
tie
know a lot about
knots.
ropes, but I mean,
The king opens the
It
door
seems
and
like a
says,
solid-
Seneschal, fetch me my comeliest cousin. And
Oh,
then
my
he slams
goodness.
the door again.
God, I hate
I
that
wait
guy.
to see the
You hate
comeliest
that guy.
cousin.
how did this happen? Are we getting paid for this?
Yeah, no, I seriously hate that guy.
We should just like what if we? I mean, what is happening here? Are we getting paid for this? Why are we doing this?
You know
I'm
what?
pretty sure we're letting his kid die.
His
in
name
that
is
bubble.
King Andronicus the Wrathful. So that may be a reason why you're doing it.
I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like he does not like his son very much. I'm just getting this weird vibe off the dad. He's sending his sickly son into like just a death trap.
Oh, that's true. Maybe he's wanting this to fail.
Yeah, maybe we should. You know what? If he wants his son to die, now I want to save him really bad. I'm just gonna start laying hands on the bubble. Just laying,
So, where's these
I
caves?
want to penetrate the bubble.
I have a
They
map
are nearby.
somewhere.
You
Where's these
can
caves at?
move. You can move towards them very easily and get to them.
Can we like see them? From
Are
the
we pushing
castle?
the bubble?
You can push out into the fields past all of the peasants toiling and yes, you can push the bubble if you want.
All
He's
right.
kind of rolling around on the inside towards these.
You should push that
caverns.
bubble.
You know, the king didn't really give us an end game.
Can-
like, we
can
bring him
he
in there and
breathe
he just
inside the
becomes a
bubble?
man. Like, what do we need to do with that?
No. At what point does he start looking blue?
Are you keeping an eye on him?
He already is kind of blue. He was already pale.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
It looks like he's kind of starting to breathe a little harder as you get
dang it.
closer to this cavern.
This guy's gonna die. I mean, God. You
It's
guys,
definitely becoming more labored.
and you're a
I
paladin.
finally noticed that he's having trouble breathing, and I stop them and I dispel the.
You have no other role.
I know that, but I can dispel the bubble. Like, I've cast it. I can dispel the bubble. Like, you guys can figure out
Can
what
he
to do
dispel the
next.
bubble?
He may dispel the bubble.
Oh, okay.
Philip falls to the grass.
Jesus.
Oh, these blades of glass are so sharp.
I'll lay on hands to heal him.
All right.
I bet you will.
I have such mixed emotions. I hate your father, and you're
Lay
kinda
on
cute,
hands,
but
bitch.
You're taking your roll. We haven't even gotten to the caves yet.
He needs
only
to lay
get
on
one roll
hands,
each.
though. Like,
Jesus.
Right. No, you're right. We should save it.
Yeah, we
can
should save
save
it.
really hard by grass. What if he's allergic?
Oh, shit.
I don't want him to get a rash. You know how hard it is to lay on hands on a rash?
Are we carrying him
not
or is he
easy.
walking? Can you walk? Can you walk?
Certainly, I walk all the time. It's one of my better traits. I'm able to. Boy, watch me walk. Walking around. I'm going to walk into this cabin. Oh, I stepped on a nail.
He's like a talkative Forrest
terrible.
Gump.
What do we know about the caves? Are there many caves in this system?
It is a cave system, and it is full of many dangers. And
just a
you
lot
know
of
that it's
symbolism
full
with
of
caves.
it's full of broken glass from all the local peasant teenagers who come out here to have their mead parties.
Is there going to be like a used mattress in there?
Yeah, probably like a used pile of hay, and then broken glass everywhere. They throw nails around. They get a little crazy.
Little cave painting of
little
boobs.
cave rave.
I remember when I was a
Little
kid and I
cave
used to come
penises.
out here. Pretty sweet. Had some good times. I was a legend in this place.
I'm just going to take one step away from the group.
I feel like as a
step
halfling,
away
you
from
don't
the
wanna
group.
be-
One step behind
You don't wanna be
everybody.
walking around in like the makeout cave because you're like eye level with a lot of dicks, and I don't want to just like walk right into one.
You need to get a torch out at least,
It is
so you know where
daylight,
you're
so
going.
They won't be in here having.
Yeah,
the
it's probably not
parties
the
right now.
weekend. It's
Yeah.
probably not
It's like a
medieval
weekday,
weekend.
so okay.
Is there a weekend in
Alright.
medieval
But
times?
still-
I think every day is just toil.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
They got to have makeout
maybe
time sometime.
here there is. There's a makeout cave. So
true.
I'm just
He probably
saying.
like gives them like 15 minutes. He's like, make babies for my realm.
Aww.
Now stop. Gross. Kings have to do stuff like
All right,
that.
we still need to get him through this damn cave.
But like, does this
Is there like
cave have
is there like
an
a different
end?
side, or what's the layout here?
Yeah, tell
you
me
can
how to
kind
beat
of go
this.
through the entire cave. There's
Do-
monsters inside of it and peril that
What?
you'll have to deal with. But
Do I know about where the
I
Balrog
did
can
not
sneak
realize there
through
were
the
monsters
entire
in
thing if
peril
you would
through
like to.
here.
I feel like we should just talk this kid into like
Where-
leaving.
Yeah, how's he gonna know?
His dad
we took
clearly
him in
doesn't.
there.
We could just say he
His
died.
dad
the king
is
will be happy.
wrathful. I mean, maybe we could put a really good. Hey kid,
Yes, what is it?
can you lie?
Can I don't know, maybe.
Who's the strongest one?
My father is a very wrathful man.
I'm like,
I think
"Half
it's
the
you.
time."
I think it's you.
I
You
watched
have to
him
be strong.
take out a man's eyes. and
I'm
his
just a
tongue.
halfling.
He's a sweet-
Then
what?
he had all of his limbs amputated, and he forced him to live in a pigsty. And he goes down and he pelts him daily with rotten fruits and vegetables, which he must seek out using his sense of smell in this sty and eat. It's terrible.
He licked his eyeballs out.
There is another time that he had a gigantic cheese grate built so that he could force peasants to slide down it and slough their skin off. Really, I feel like if we stopped all of these torture-based initiatives and put the kingdom's funding into
Hold on.
protecting the society, we could advance in better ways.
Hold
Shut
on.
up,
I have
kid.
an idea
When
here.
there were
Shut up, you-
hobgoblins in the forest, my
you
father's
pinko
solution
kid.
was to burn down the forest.
I face
have-
palm him like immediately. I just put my hand
Which
right
solved
into
the
his
hobgoblin
face.
problem, but unfortunately, when
Boom.
winter came, everyone froze to death.
I have an idea.
If the tiefling puts his hand on your face, like he's palming your face, like what would that taste like?
We need to kill
He
the
doesn't-
king,
He doesn't.
Pretty terrible.
and then we
Yeah.
need to become the prince's advisors.
What?
Kill the
Wow.
king and become the princess. I mean, he obviously has a really good plan for everybody. I mean, it sounds solid.
I'm
don't
I'm
think
with
it-
you.
It could be worse. I mean, cheese graters are pretty bad.
Well, that was his father. I
No,
mean,
that's what I'm saying. Cheese graters are bad, so yeah, we should probably kill the king.
well, then
Am
let's
I
just
a
go back to
paladin?
the
Are we
castle
sure?
and kill the king.
He also had a gigantic wine press made so that he could crush
This kid
people like
talks a lot,
grapes.
though.
my character is neutral evil, and I think that King Andronicus has made the kingdom great again. So
Oh God!
I got no problem with any of this.
Well, build a wall out of the corpses of the peasants.
Well, then we still have to get the kid through the stupid tunnel.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
Let's do it. Where's the shortest tunnel?
well, I mean, how are we going to get him through?
Let's
He just
do
stepped
it.
on glass. Are
Where's
you bleeding to death yet?
Where's the shortest tunnel?
He's bleeding. He's not bleeding to death, but he's
All
definitely
right.
bleeding.
All right. Is there like some kind
We're
of...
going to need a lay on hands
Is there some
eventually
kind
here.
of horrifying effigy at the center of the
Can you
cavern
resurrect
that the kid
people?
needs to see in order to
of
give
course.
proof that he's going to have been here or something?
Not really, no.
How does the
Well,
resurrection
how the
happen?
fuck's the king ever going to even know?
How is he going to know?
Well,
Ha! All right.
what the viewers or what the listeners didn't see was the winking.
Yeah. And the finger
The
guns.
winking, yeah, the
Those
finger
too.
guns.
Don't shoot.
Are we going to make him lie?
I think that using the arcane power of wizardry, I shall implant a memory inside of his mind of a detailed adventure that he had, that another wizard, upon scrying it, will believe it actually happened. and none shall be the wiser. Then we can take the rest of the day off.
Okay.
Go for ale.
I'm
and
good with
pouring.
that.
Yeah, I'd rather
I'm good
save
with
my
that.
hands for myself. So
I am going to look deeply into his eyes, and I'm going to call upon the power of the darkness and the nether sphere.
I feel like there's no chance to kill.
Come
him.
on, nether
think
sphere.
so?
Let's
If we
see
kill
box
him-
I mean,
scars.
he is
If we
Box
can.
scars.
He is bad.
7.
7.
Seven
All
on
right,
2d6.
you implant the idea into his head.
And then his brain explodes. Because you're not like that guy from Inception.
But in so doing, it does give him a nosebleed.
See?
it's
Added
not
realism,
stopping.
kids. Added realism.
Look at it. Now he's bleeding.
Hey, now you can lay on hands.
Now I'm going to save this for myself.
Keep his brain from oozing out of his nose.
Dude.
Fine.
Do this thing.
Dude, you need to do this, okay?
He's
If
fine.
he dies,
I'm
Hey,
feeling
do
very
you have a
tired.
medical degree?
he's getting
I
dizzy.
think I'll lie down for
You're a
little bit.
He's
paladin.
laying down.
You're a
It's fine.
paladin.
All right, I have some truth to tell you.
Ow, this grass is so sharp.
I'm not really a paladin.
What the fuck?
I just found this armor. It's not even
Oh
mine.
my god.
Hold on.
This is
What about those times you laid hands on me?
So embarrassing.
The rush of euphoria you felt was just because I'm really good at laying hands. Had nothing to do with actual powers. There are no
God
gods.
damn it.
You did yell God a lot.
Adam, can we consult the Book of Erotic Fantasy on the rules for this,
We
please?
can. First, you have to roll for the size of your genitalia.
Oh my
Well, we're
god.
halfling, so it has to
Okay.
be half
I'll need
size.
3d6,
So.
Adam.
Okay, all right.
We still need to protect him
Triple
for the
ones.
day.
Oh, no!
God.
That was a 6. So.
This is a 6.
Yeah, that's-
Thank you, Jesus.
Yikes. I feel like this kid's fine.
The
I-
dice speak truth.
I don't really like him. He talks a lot. His dad's kind of a dickhole.
Well, now we get to, waste the day away and watch him die from a nosebleed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go. I don't feel like there's anything in this for me. I'm just going to take off.
Cool. I'm going to attack him for leaving.
All right.
Is that what we're going to roll?
Yes.
It's literally
Yes.
on my card. I have to kill you for
okay.
leaving.
Crap, I should have.
I have abandonment issues.
Right?
You walked right into that. She said it at the beginning. Oh, man.
You were like, I feel like you should have told us that. And then you completely forgot about it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what my intelligence is for this
Listen,
character.
I have serious abandonment issues, okay?
Clearly.
Jesus,
What,
okay?
what attack is this? What does this look like, this attack?
Yeah, what kind of attack is this going to be?
The ground is going to become dark beneath you, and the hands of souls are going to reach up around your legs, and they're going to tear at your skin
Are they
as
gonna
they
be like-
pull you.
Are they going to be like sexy
Into the
lady
deep.
hands or like rough
Well, fuck
man
yeah, they're
hands?
going to be sexy lady hands. You better die like
Shit.
good. Jeez.
Yeah, this
Look
doesn't
what
seem
you did.
so
what
bad,
type of
really.
monster do you think I am?
Look what you did, man.
Yeah, I feel like this
God.
is fine. You guys all remember Labyrinth, right? This is going to be good.
Is this a 1?
That is a
Shit.
6.
Oh, okay, it's the 6.
So that's an 8.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Pwned.
The sexy lady hands with lacquered nails reach out of the ground and grab your legs.
It's like
and at first
American
you're like,
Horror
ooh,
Story.
this is pretty nice. And then they pierce your flesh and begin dragging you into the earth.
This seems fine. I'm not going to even. I'm going to re-roll to not resist.
All right.
Roll to not resist.
I'm actually. You know what? I'm going to roll for staying power. If you catch my drift.
All
Staying
right.
power.
See what you get.
Please let it be
A
1.
5.
I know this is supposed to be role playing, not real
like
life.
twitch and try to recoil a little bit, but then they latch back on and
I'm not
continue
really happy
dragging
with
you
this, guys.
down into.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not-
feel like I can last for at least
Best
6
death
rounds.
ever.
I mean, if you're going to die, death by hand job is probably one of the better ways.
I think so. Yeah, that's probably one of the good ways to go out.
I was never even a real paladin anyway, so.
That's fantastic.
All right.
Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
running our
Yeah, thanks for
Mystery
this.
Dungeon 1000.
I hope it was good for you.
It was great.
I'm sure that's the sort of awesome stuff you can expect at AZ Game Fair whenever you do Happy Time Dungeon
Exactly
Hour.
that. Except
Probably
it was,
maybe slightly more PG, but
no,
maybe
no,
not. I don't
What?
know. No promise.
The
No
the
promises.
censors are always stepping
What?
in, trying to regulate art.
No promises.
Dang it.
Adam and I don't care about morality.
It's not about the money, man. It's about the chicks.
Well, and if listeners want to know more about RPGs, more about you guys, where can they find you?
Oh, Adam, do the thing.
Like your
So you
actual
can find
address.
us on fullmetalrpg.com. We are there. We post all of our podcasts there. You can find us on SoundCloud, Full Metal RPG. You can find us on iTunes, Full Metal RPG. Either of those places, you can reach us at fullmetalrpgofficial@gmail.com. So
Awesome.
any of those, and you can find us on Twitter, Facebook,
Instagram.
Really, I'm on
Yep.
Instagram.
Yeah, I was
going to
say, I know you guys do a lot of stuff on Instagram. Yeah.
At Full Metal RPG on Instagram. I haven't been super on there a lot lately, but I've been on there enough. So it's pretty good.
We're all up in
Absolutely.
your social medias.
Absolutely. And, if you guys want to meet them, go down to Game Depot and check them out.
Come
Play some
see
games.
us, play some games, spit on us, whatever.
Thanks for having us on. This has been really
Absolutely.
fun.
Thank
This
you
has
so
been a
much
good
for
time.
being on. This is awesome.
Thank you.
And also, you can come down to Arizona Game Fair because they're doing 3 panels. They're doing their podcast.
Very nice.
We're doing a designers podcast, so we're
my
going to talk
God.
about the club, and then they're doing Happy Time Dungeon Hour, and then also you can play some games because I scheduled 200 plus events, so somebody better be there.
Absolutely.
It is going to be great when I totally go Jim Morrison and get blackout drunk before Happy Time Dungeon Hour, and you have to drag me out on stage, and I'm like, all right, listen, man, listen. I don't know how many of y'all believe in astrology. Then I take out my penis. That's Jim Morrison.
Well, I thought you guys were going to do a PG one.
Well,
Jesus.
that's a good way to get banned, and also Jim Miller is chomping at the bit to take your place, so...
Sweet. That would have been a better choice.
Listen
So
to all this
realistically,
intrigue.
you get a chance to pull out your dick and get replaced. That's pretty good.
That's true.
Well, make
Living the dream.
Make sure to check everybody out and rate on iTunes and Stitcher. Get your tickets for AZ Game Fair now while you can. So have a good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
This has been a GloryHoundd production in association with Abnormal Entertainment. For more shows, game news, and amazing adventures, follow us at gloryhound.com, at GloryHoundd on Twitter, or In Glory We Trust on Facebook.
Head to abnormalentertainment.com for all of our podcasts and blogs. Go to cinemaheadcheese.com for our movie reviews and news. Don't forget our YouTube channels, Abnormal Podcast and Cinema Head Cheese. Get us on Twitter, at Abnormal Podcasts, and find all of our shows and Abnormal Entertainment on Facebook.
You've been listening to the Abnormal Entertainment Network.